Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the utter scam that is Pan-Africanism. Um, these immigrants have been coming to our country, um, saying they're black, but behind the scenes they say, "Oh, I'm Jamaican. Don't hang out with those FBA people. Oh, I'm Nigerian. Don't hang out with those FBA people." These immigrants come to this country, immigrate here voluntarily, and then when they get here, they teach their children to despise foundational black Americans. And these same people also, in return, want us to unconditionally love anybody on the face of the earth that has black skin or brown skin. So it's a huge con game. It's just a scam. So we're going to be looking at the latest on FBA news because we are bringing more momentum to this. It's not I wouldn't call it a movement, but to this lineage, to this ethnicity that is being realized that we built this country. Not Nigerians, not Jamaicans, not anybody else. This country was built on slave labor. Slaves. Okay? If you do not have a lineage tied to American slavery, you did not build this country. And don't come here claiming that you built this country because we all know it's not true. You came here voluntarily to a country that was already built, and it was built on slave labor. And then these same people have the audacity to say, why should those niggas get reparations? Get a job, nigga. Get a job, nigga. If you go to a country that is built on slavery voluntarily, you should be more than willing. You should know that at some point the descendants of those slaves that built this country will want reparations. So if you don't want to pay reparations, if you do not want to pay reparations, go back to your home country. Go back to your home country because nobody asked you to come here. Nobody said, "Hey, let's bring on those Nigerians. Let's bring on those Haitians." No. No. At first, we're like, "Okay, yeah, these people are coming here, but we'll accept them." We never asked them. We never said, "Hey, we need these people over." No. No, we never said that. But they're coming over here. A lot of them, the vast majority of them, actually illegally, which means they have no respect for the law. And these same people will say black Americans, they break the law. Like, come on. Come on. People are still falling for that. We're the scapegoat. Most crime in this country is not even committed by black Americans. A lot of these so-called black on black crime statistics are not black, foundational black Americans. They're actually immigrants. We know for a fact when immigrants come over here, they commit a lot of crime. Okay? If you come from a country with high crime rates, failed society, gangs all over, you have Haiti, which is pretty much not even a country. It's pretty much just a territory filled with thousands of gangs. And these people come over here. They say, "Oh man, oh look at those. We Haitian," and they wave the Haitian flag. They're like, "Wow, I'm Haitian and proud." But you left. You fled. You are a loser. Haiti is a losing country. All of these third world countries, they're waving these flags, waving, proud of what? What is there to be proud of when everyone in that country wants to leave? Wants to leave. And they're not trying to make it better. Yes, there are people. No, I'll rephrase that. There are people in Haiti that are trying to make it better. But they don't immigrate. They don't flee. The people you see fleeing from these countries are the last people trying to make their home countries better. They are running from their problems. They are denying reality. They have no pride. Yeah, you can wave this flag or that flag as much as you want, but if you are in America, you left your country because it is untenable to live there. So don't tell black Americans what we should and shouldn't do in our home country that we built. We fought for your right to flee here. In the 60s, in the Civil War, we fought to end slavery. We fought to get rid of the racist immigration laws that non-white people could immigrate here. It was us. We did that. You don't see Mexicans in the civil rights movement. You don't see Asians in the civil rights movement. You didn't see them in a they were there, don't get me wrong, but they weren't in a leading role. We were the leadership of all of these movements. These immigrants, they didn't even come here until after we fought for their right to come here. So we're gonna scroll through some of this and watch it.
World. By now, I hope we all heard of the Black Wall Street in Oklahoma and how it was literally bombed and its people became refugees. Thing is, there were Black Wall Streets all over the Americas. There were plenty self-sustainable, wealthy, indigenous American neighborhoods that were destroyed and its people were evicted and turned into refugees. These neighborhoods would have been super wealthy today, and their descendants would have inherited generational wealth if they weren't destroyed by the U.S. government. Cities like Cowaliga, Alabama, home of the indigenous Muskogee people that built one of the most industrious cities in the United States right on their tribal land. Well, the state of Alabama said fuck that and flooded the city under Lake Martin.
So this is a running pattern. Every time foundational black Americans build something, a thriving community, it's either flooded, it's burned to the ground. This has happened dozens of times. Every time we build something for ourselves, disproving the theory that black people can't build anything. Black Americans, they're slaves, they're stupid, they're this, they're that. They burn it down because that's a threat to their propaganda machine trying to dehumanize black Americans. And this has happened. Were there any reparations paid out for any of these atrocities? No. This all goes back to not having reparations. After slavery, we should have been given our own land. We should have been compensated for the hundreds of years of slavery, hundreds of years of involuntary labor. You can't even argue against that. How does one argue against reparations? When you see the history, you see all these atrocities. But America will give billions to Israel. America will give billions to all these tiny countries that have nothing to do with us, that don't benefit the taxpayer at all whatsoever. We keep giving billions to NATO, fight Ukraine. Nothing to do with us. What does that have to do with America? Now, while we're giving billions, saying, oh, this giving money to all these random countries will make America better, America's getting worse, which disproves that theory entirely. So don't tell me giving reparations to black Americans will just collapse this country. People are framing it like, oh, giving reparations to black Americans, it'll ruin this country. Oh, it'll ruin this country. But we gotta give billions to Ukraine. We've gave out trillions Trillions, literally trillions, to countries that have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with America. So I've come to the conclusion that if you disagree with a reasonable reparations package, then I just have to assume you're racist. I just have to assume that you're a racist, and because there's no logical, reasonable, sound argument against reparations. There's zero, none whatsoever. Okay, you can say, oh, but those Negroes, they don't need reparations. Like, come on, you can't argue against it. It's literally history. It's literally a compounding effect that all stems back from slavery. They give immigrants that come into this country cell phones, credit cards. They're immune from the law. Then a black person, black American, crosses the street, jaywalks. Oh, slapped with the $200 fine, jail time, all this. What is it? What is the hypocrisy here? The hypocrisy speaks for itself. And really, nothing has changed in this country since Jim Crow. It's just gotten more hidden. It's gotten more, it's not as in your face. But the hypocrisy is still there, as we can see with Joe Biden, Jim Crow, Joe Biden, where he's just allowing immigrants to flood over our border, give them all billions of dollars. How much is this costing us? Almost $500 billion. $500 billion. All these immigrants coming over our border, getting free stuff, free housing, free education, free this, free medical care, free that. But meanwhile, the average American is avoiding the hospital. The average American has to choose between going to the hospital or paying rent or having transportation to go to work. This is our country. This is what we're proud of. It's hypocrisy. And again, all this stems back to slavery. All this stems back to Jim Crow. It's merely a continuation. Okay, when you look at the black experience in America, this will all make sense. It will all make sense. So the fact that they're not paying reparations is proof that they don't like America. The people running this country hate everything that is American. They have betrayed our nation. They have betrayed our country. They have done everything within their power to destroy, to maim, to loot, to pillage black communities. They have incarcerated millions of men for non-violent crimes. The average black community, damn near was a police state. It was occupied by who? It's a scam. So, yeah, you get the gist of this video. So I'm going to go to the next video. Let's see what this is.
Black immigrant groups have a median household income above the American average. Who are black immigrant groups? Nigerians, Barbadians, Ghanaians, Trinidadians. All have higher incomes than the average American.
So this is an immigrant saying this. So he says, this is the reason why black Americans hate black immigrants. It's just pure envy, jealousy as usual. And spare me the false dichotomy. I know you're dumb, but pretend to be intelligent on this post. First of all, you wouldn't even be here without us. You can't say that about us. You can't say, oh, Nigerians gave you everything. No, they didn't. They sold us into slavery. They didn't do anything for us. Nothing. They double-crossed us. They sold us into slavery for what? What was it? Umbrellas? for guns? Not even anything of value, no land, no, nothing. Zero. And it's just speaking to the fact because a lot of these immigrants come here and just utterly hate our guts. And now they're surprised when we start delineating. We start saying, no, we're not African American. We're foundational Black American. Why would we want to be African? The people that sold us into slavery, the people who still to this day won't give us land and citizenship in our so-called motherland. Fuck Africa. Fuck Africa. Okay, Africa has nothing to do with us. We built our own culture from scratch here. We built our own communities from scratch here. Nobody helped us. Nobody came to save us. Nobody from Africa was coming over here saying, "Oh, we gotta stop slavery." Nobody from Africa. Where's the African heroes that came to America and said, "We gotta liberate these Black Americans"? They don't exist. Never happened. If anything, they were still selling slaves well into the 1800s, well into the they're still selling slaves now. Why would we claim Africa? The hypocrisy. Africa is in turmoil. Look at Congo. They are literally selling their entire souls to white-owned oil companies. We gotta, like, literally entire countries are just corrupt, owned by like corporations, and the people don't say anything. Yeah, they'll complain about it, but they won't do anything. If all somebody has to do is throw them a bone and they'll just backstab each other. It's so corrupt. Africa is so corrupt. It's beyond belief. If you think America is corrupt, look at Africa. It's just a whole nother level of corruption. And again, they wag their fingers at us. They move. When they come here, where do they go? Where do they move into? A Black community. A Black community. Where do they go when they who supports them? Black Americans. Who shops at their stores? Black Americans. Jamaicans. Nigerians. They fled their country. They didn't build, they fled. They didn't build a country worth immigrating to. They didn't, which makes them a failure by all metrics. You cannot immigrate to any country and be disrespectful towards the people that took you in. We got to stop this, cut this in its tracks. This is completely unacceptable. And the foundational Black American community is getting close to a boycott of all non-Black American businesses. These companies will go broke. These non-FBA companies will go broke overnight because we're the main ones supporting them. We're the main ones giving them the opportunity to do business. We could just stop shopping there. We could stop shopping all those crappy convenience stores that sell us expired food, have rude employees. We could do that. We can make a movement. We boycotted the bus service and that was during like Jim Crow, where we had less opportunities than we do now. So don't tell me what we are jealous of. We're not jealous of a lineage of failure, a lineage of scamming, a lineage of running. We fight for our respects. And keep in mind, we did all that while being the majority. A lot of these African countries, they have like 90%, they make up 90% of the population. Like 99% of the population will be Black, and they'll have 1% of the population that's white, and the white 1% will control everything. And they don't even fight against it. They just sit and take it. We didn't go through that. We were 12% of the population. And we got our rights. We fought for civil rights ourselves. Who was the face of the civil rights movement? Foundational Black Americans. And we didn't just fight for ourselves, mind you. At the time, we were fighting for everybody else. We were saying we're going to fight for everybody's right to come here and have decent dignity. That's what we fought for. So I don't want to hear anything from an immigrant that fled. Don't talk to me about anything.
Activists, they're always married to a white person. Who's that Somalian up in Minnesota? Her, AOC, Kamala Harris, radicalized in the streets, colonized in the sheets.
AOC and Ilhan Omar and Kamala Harris and that Supreme Court lady. If white men are the greatest threat to America, why do you keep marrying them?
Our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country.
What's being labeled as terrorism is almost exclusively coming down to the identity, and it seems as though white men invoking white supremacy and engaging in mass shootings are almost immune from being.
Now, let me tell you the biggest threat to this country, and a lot of you guys aren't going to like this. The number one threat to this country is immigrants. Immigrants are the number one threat to this country. Now, I have no problem with legal, law-abiding, assimilated American immigrants. No problem. Zero problem whatsoever. And that goes for everybody around the world that decides to file the process or do the process, come here, and are accepted here by law. But when you come here, cross the border, you encroach in our territory, you come here and you don't respect the laws, you don't respect the community that built this country, you don't respect anything, you see yourselves as better than the host population, and you don't interact with the host population. You keep to yourselves, you don't assimilate, and then you try to make the host country like your home country. When they get here, what do they try to do? They try to make the host country like their failed home country. And then it turns, they're trying to make this country into a third world country. Corrupt, mismanaged, tribal. They're trying to make it like that. Now notice, it wasn't us that said Black Americans are better. We didn't say that. We said Black people, as in Black people all across the world, deserves human rights. It wasn't until they started saying, oh, Jamaican pride, oh, Nigerian pride, nigga, oh my God, waving these flags, trying to be better than the host population, competing and dehumanizing, telling their own children to not hang out with the host population. That's treasonous. That's treasonous. But because Black Americans were at the time accepting of all groups, we didn't think, I mean, even if they hated our guts, we didn't see that as a betrayal. We were like, okay, maybe, okay, and then we just move on. But right now, we're getting fed up because the reparations movement, within the last 10 years, has just opened everybody's eyes. Just the way, like, they're in lockstep, just against reparations. The whole, and AOC, she's under the banner of people of color. Let me tell you right now, AOC is not of color. Of color means Black American. When they said held out signs that said no colors. That means no black Americans. At the time, Mexicans were able to go into white-owned businesses. African immigrants were even allowed to go into white-owned businesses. Just the American Negro was not allowed to go in. So clearly, this is not about people of color. This is about being against foundational black Americans. Is AOC advocating for reparations? But meanwhile, all black politicians, they're advocating for immigrants. Immigrants don't advocate for us. Why are we advocating for immigrants? And immigrants, do you see them holding flags and flyers saying, oh, we need to give reparations? No. Hell no. They don't give a damn about us. We are on our own. Period, man. So don't fall into this, oh, we're all just people of color. We got to go get whitey. No. And they use like, oh, we got to insult white people. We got to insult white people every 10 seconds so the black people feel comfortable around us. That meanwhile, they are against foundational black Americans. So just because, and she has a white husband. So just because you insult, you say, oh, white people are the biggest threat to America. Oh, black people, please. No, that's a cover. Okay, she says one thing, does another thing, and it's just, this is chess, not checkers, man. You can't just take people's word for what they say and be like, oh, yeah, we gotta, we're all people of color. We gotta take down the oppressor. No, they are the oppressor. She's a congresswoman. She is in power. She's one of the most popular congressmen in America. So who is the oppressor? Who is gatekeeping reparations?
About why guys get shit on their hands and in their
This aboriginal thing is nonsense. I think it's anti-African. I think it's destructive to our community, and it should be nipped in.
It says 90% of FBA ADOS on social media are counterintelligence agents of the security state. The other 10% are self-loathing, impressionable Negroes looking for attention. So declaring our ethnic group is some sort of counterintelligence agency or movement, whatever this guy's trying to say. So, and let's say somebody from Ghana never stepped foot, his ancestors never stepped foot in America for millions of years, could just come into this country illegally, and then call themselves Black American, entitled to reparations. You don't see anything wrong with that? You think that's right? They weren't through Jim Crow. They weren't through slavery. That did not affect them. If anything, they were the ones that sold us into slavery. So I don't want to hear nothing about, just one big family. No. You guys don't even practice what you preach. Everybody wants to benefit from the black struggle in America. Everyone wants to take credit for black culture, for jazz, for blues, for the civil rights movement, for rap, for hip hop, all foundational black American music. You are not entitled to claim somebody else's culture. If a foundational black American went to Jamaica and said, I claim Jamaican culture. Oh, that's our culture. Would Jamaicans be upset about that? Of course. And they should. Because no one should be entitled to claim someone else's culture that they created, they made, they produced, they invented. No one. And honestly, I think these people are trying to wipe out foundational black Americans. They don't care. They don't want the story of foundational Black America to be known as it was. They want to rewrite history. They want to erase the American Negro, the story of the American Negro, and repaint it to benefit them. Wake the hell up.